Harassment methods. Overview of harassment methods used by FBI's COINTELPRO, Operation Gladio, covert community recruits, and stay behind armies, or instruction manual for community gang stalkers. From Chapter 18's Instruction Manual with Harassment Methods for Community Gang Stalkers, Undercover Community-Based Agents. Welcome back to the program, everybody. Welcome back to another show. Welcome back to another episode. Good morning or good afternoon to all of my viewers, listeners, and Soul Tribe family. The name of this program is called It's a Conspiracy, But It Ain't No Theory. It's a Conspiracy, But It Ain't No Theory is a nonprofit social service agency suicide prevention campaign servicing the needs of families and foster children at risk. Lending my voice to help raise awareness by soft publishing a book trilogy called Lucy's Lair. Lucy's Lair is a graphic novel based on true events following my life as a freelance artist. This program is intended to help encourage, heal, and empower survivors of cancel culture and rape culture, providing free information and evidence regarding child abuse, sexual assault, domestic violence, electronic harassment, gang stalking, conspiracy, and true organized hate crimes against humanity, collective and covert. Your company can help by providing funds in a grant or by donating goods and services as I continue delivering this information and evidence to the general public and advocating for foster children in need. Thank you in advance for all of your support. On today's episode, I'm going to be discussing gang stalking, occult ritual stalking, hypersimulation theory, covert psychological operations, plus surviving the New World Order, surviving the New World Disorder per usual, surviving manufactured chaos, surviving manufactured karma, surviving American genocide, and surviving the electronic targeting Holocaust. My name is Adrienne Alese. I am the author and creator of a book trilogy called Lucy's Lair. Lucy's Lair is a book trilogy reflecting my life as a survivor of rape culture, child sex trafficking, and psychological gas chambers. On this program, I advocate for women's rights, basic human rights, and the rights of those disabled. I also advocate on behalf of the foster children in the CPS system, orphans, single mothers, foster mothers, and those less fortunate. Targeted individuals or trafficked victims are predominantly women. 65 to 70% of targeted individuals are white American women or those who identify as such. This makes gang stalking an illegal operation or hate crime that is sexually and politically motivated towards American women and their children. This program is a dedication to the targeted individual community. The objective of the opposition or the counterintelligence program, COINTELPRO 2.0, is to subvert all of the target's potentiality, to terminate and to punish all supporters and sympathizers, to round down the target's output and audience, to marginalize the target, and to eliminate connections and networking ability. And so anyways, a couple things I wanted to note. Can you imagine what 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, or even 40 plus years of watching porn every single day does to a man's brain? I mean, it makes women virtually worthless. Because if they have free porn, then they get everything. They get their needs met. What do they need a wife for? And not only that, but what kind of husband is it going to make if it's watching porn all day, every day, year after year after year? I can't even imagine. And while the arguments would go something like this, you'd be arguing with your husband or your significant other over which of the two of you are better, either you or the mistresses. So then you'll get into it for that. And I don't know about you, but I have better things to do with my time than argue with somebody who's insecure and likes to compete because of it over who's better. And so, in any case, our government literally likes to run a psyop, and essentially the psyop goes as such: bigger is better. That's the motto. And it'll bring honeypots out who are posing as innocent bystanders, and they're always overdressed in some tight leather pants or some tight yoga pants. They always look inappropriate. That's to say the absolute least. And essentially, it is sexually harassing. And it likes to make me feel flat. This is one of its top go-to tactics to harass me. And it likes to put these Kim Kardashian knockoffs, and I've talked about this several times. And they pose as innocent bystanders, but they're actually gang stalkers, and this is dark psychology. This is all psychological warfare, political warfare. They have an agenda. They're traffickers, and their alien agenda is to make sure that their trafficked, exploited victims die systemically. That is the agenda. That is the alien New World Order agenda. And so all day, every day, it's running this counter psyop to attack or harass, and it's just playing this game of whose dick is bigger with these honeypots that it introduces to change the climate, essentially, change the atmosphere, to try to set somebody up like myself, any one of its victims, any number of people. This is likely happening to you. This happens to the pastor. You have to understand, people with powerful callings on their life, regardless if they go for it, answer the call or not, they are targeted. Tell me, why is the pastor divorced? Why does it not practice what it preaches? Why does it have children that are out of wedlock? Bastard children. And a big part of that is because of these psyops. So one of the games that the counterculture or the FBI plays in these hyper simulations or in these test simulations is to make a person feel small about themselves, to destabilize their mental, psychological well-being, and to attack or shatter their confidence by perpetually introducing hoes, whores, prostitutes, posing as an innocent bystander, but always wearing the same damn pants. So it's the consistency here that is the key to the punishment. And of course, it has to bring in these distractions so it can divide up and conquer, because that's how it is able to achieve its ideological victory over any enemy of the state. That is political warfare. That's unconventional political warfare. If it can make you feel insecure about yourself and shatter your confidence, then it can successfully run an entrapment operation for any number of reasons. There's this huge delusion that these honeypots, these mistresses, that they're better because they have the freedom, the independence to get up and walk away. So that makes them better. And with the models and the porn stars, they're better because they're more attractive. They have a larger following, or a cult-like following. And so in any case, not only that, but when they go to say that everybody watches porn and that it's normal, that is absolutely incorrect. But these are what the arguments will look like, and it will get defensive, and it will lie, and it will fight to protect the mistresses and to protect the traffickers, and to lie and defend and fight to protect that secret or that lie or just whatever. And so anyways, it doesn't make a husband. And so these women are absolutely better off being single. So not only that, but like I said, it'll try to argue about how everybody watches porn, and that's not true. I don't watch porn. And at some point, you really will just have to figure out how to regain your independence so you can just let them have that who's better argument with themselves, because they're not bringing these honeypots home anytime soon, ever. So something that you have to understand as an adult is that when these men see these prostitutes online, they don't ever want to stop looking at them. And so it'll never be where, he'll change his ways. And it'll always be that you're crazy, and that's the case. That will always be the case. And so I've already mentioned and gone over how the children or the generations to come out of these blue-collar crime cults that are protected by the police, family members and associates of them, they don't ever go to jail. They don't get arrested. They don't commit crimes, you see. And so therefore they're not crazy, because that has to do with class. And they have it. And the only reason why they have it is because they robbed me of it, you see. So, it very much so represents itself as a classic case of classism. But it's a lot more than that. And it likes to lie, actually quite a bit, because it creates what I call a rape culture. And sex is natural. Everybody has sex. I'm pretty sure most people are going to die not being virgins, unless for whatever reason they're really young. But, rape and coercion and blackmail and trafficking, all of this slavery, like actual slavery that's happening in the world and specifically in my life, it's not normal. It's not natural. Anybody trying to make it seem like it is, they're a groomer. So in any case, to push that onto somebody, to force that impose your own will onto somebody else, that is not natural. That is slavery. And so, well, what I was saying was that pretty much they never stop. They don't stop watching the porn. It's the opposite. Once they fall in love with somebody one of these prostitutes that they've seen online that sells their ass, they're willing to do whatever it takes for it. They'll give money. They'll leave their family, they'll leave their wives, they'll leave their children just for these girls, or for these prostitutes online, excuse me. And so, in a weird way, I'm forced to have to kind of like compete with that. And I don't have free will. That's what slavery is. That's what trafficking is. And so, because it places so much more value in prostitutes that it sees online, strangers, that it's willing to go broke for them, to kill for them, to fight for them, to lie for them, to leave people for them, to abandon, neglect, and abuse people for these prostitutes that it sees online. You have to understand that this is not something that it is ever going to stop doing. Woman to woman, it's a sex slave also. And the traffickers need as many people watching and paying their prostitutes as possible. That's how they stay in business, quite literally. So of course this creates a cult, a trafficking ring, a sex cult, or a rape cult, depending on how you see it. Now, the sex cult is the catalyst for the rape cults. The rape cult ushers in the death cult, and they all work together for the same agenda. And so, in any case, because they don't ever go to get the help that they need, in terms of their sex addiction, their porn addiction, and their drug addiction, and all of this stuff that they have, these secrets that they're battling personally, mentally, emotionally, financially, and otherwise, he is never going to stop looking at prostitutes online. It's never going to happen. What's actually going to happen is he's going to fight you, institutionalize you after he rapes you. And then when you complain about it, you're going to be overdosed in the psych ward and you're going to die a victim of rape culture. If they had it their way, and if I wasn't so savvy, if I wasn't so smart, if I wasn't so strong, this would have already happened because they've already tried this. And just by the skin of my chin did I survive that. That's not a suicide attempt. I'm not suicidal. I should not ever be going to a psych ward. Ever. So clearly there is an agenda here. That's an assassination attempt. Why am I going to a psych ward when I have never been suicidal, not one time ever? I'm going to tell you why. Because only in the psych ward can they overdose you with antipsychotics and murder you. They don't do that in prison. Only in the psych ward. Hear me when I say this. So while it's out here talking shit about how I'm lying, over-exaggerating, or embellishing my rape story, absolutely not. I have no reason to lie. I've survived more than just one assassination attempt. More than just one. So there's a reason why when these non-suicidal targets, victims of rape culture, are like myself, non-suicidal, Don't have a record or a reputation for being suicidal, ever. I run a suicide prevention campaign for fostered youth on YouTube. Everybody called me crazy. Every single person thought I was crazy. Because I'm actually smarter than the rest of them. So in any case, my point is this. A non-suicidal person like myself should not be going to the psych ward. The psych ward is for people who have attempted suicide. But then, of course, because they won't take these complaints properly, it wants to Hector Zeroni me. That in and of itself causes pain and suffering and emotional, psychological distress. In and of itself, alone. So yeah, I mean, I do get pretty upset. I'm pretty angry about it. I've been dealing with anger for a long time, and I need some anger management. But let me tell you how the counterculture deals with their anger management. If they get mad at you, you'll just go to a funeral. Like I said, it's rules for thee, but not for me. And you have to understand that he is never going to stop looking at prostitutes online that he thinks are better than you. For whatever reason, these things do not go to the hospital to get help for their mental health. They go pick up a prostitute off the fucking corner somewhere or online somewhere. They pay it $50 to sext it or for a blowjob. That is their version of going to therapy. So it's never, ever, ever going to go to therapy. It's in complete denial. It's schizophrenic. It believes its own lies. It will never go to jail for the rape that it's guilty for committing the crime. And yeah, they never go to rehab. They don't get, I mean, they're like 60 and still strung out on fucking drugs. Till the day that they die, you already know that's how it's going to be. And yeah, it's just really interesting because I watched this program the other day and it was talking about marketing and how pretty much people are convinced into buying bigger vehicles such as SUVs, or something along those lines when they don't actually need the space. And how on average, about 1,000 people in the world have to starve in order for one person to own an SUV. And when I heard this, I was like, there's no way this could be true. But if there's even a shred of truth to this, that makes me so proud not to own a vehicle. And not only not own a vehicle, but to know that my value is worth more than most of the Teslas that you all have. I'm more beautiful inside and out than the vehicle that you own. Okay? The artwork that I've done to change the way my appearance after I was raped, I definitely embellished that. Revenge body? Okay, yeah, talk about that revenge body, baby. That artwork that I paid to have done, nobody paid for that for me. I paid for that for myself. My parents don't pay for anything. That one time that they helped me out, it doesn't make up for all the other times that they were never there. You see what I'm saying? And it does. It likes to do one thing one time so it can say, well, what about this one thing one time? I don't count that. I don't count it at all. I never will. It's not to me about the one time that you did one thing. What about all the times that you were supposed to be there and you weren't? Simply put, I got blessed. I was very fortunate. I had a very loving, caring foster mother. Most foster kids can't say that. I'm very fortunate that she was there for me when I needed her the most. I have always said that. And I know just speaking those words makes my mom jealous, my living biological mother. So, I mean, is it going to be that these foster children age out of the CPS system and then become young adults and that they, have to take their parents to court and sue them? Is that how it's going to have to be in order for them to get the restitutions that should already be readily available since they're technically victims and they should receive victim of crime? So in any case, this is the real war that's going on in all secrecy. That you will not see in the media. Rather, instead of the real victims being portrayed in the media, their suffering is mocked, and they are mocked by what is known as a meta model. And this tactic is called social engineering. And so I think it's really interesting, kind of funny, and also pretty sad that I've been discussing this issue on my YouTube channel for 3 years, and there is simply not one single intelligent person to have this conversation with. Not even one. Like, literally at all, period. There is no living person intelligent enough to carry this conversation on with me. Not one. So, most misogynists hate women because, in their opinion, women get everything for free. And one of the things that Jason likes to argue about the most is how I get everything for free. Well, it's really schizophrenic of him to even imply that, because he raped me and then hired an attorney, used his mom's money to hire an attorney to take custody of our child, and then used his uncle's name or reputation as the chief of police, Rex Caldwell, to write him a letter and to clear him in court. So he got everything. And my rapist wants me to pay him child support. This is what I mean when I say that they get everything for free. The police and their families, their friends and their associates, everybody within these blue-collar crime cults, everything is free. They pay for nothing. So when he and I split, Jason went to go stay with his dad while I was in a homeless shelter, a DV shelter. Mind you, you can't get into these shelters unless you're a victim of DV. It's not easy for women to get into domestic violence shelters. There has to be a criminal record, typically, ordinarily. There needs to be some proof of violence, and then you get in. Well, the judge completely overlooked that, completely overlooked his criminal recent felonies. And so, in any case, he went to live with his father first. He's only got 3 relatives. It's not a very big family. So, in any case, he went to stay with James Hunt first. And James said, I'll never forget when Andy was complaining about Jason's failed suicide attempts and freaking out, not knowing what to do, coming home and finding Jason passed out from huffing air freshener, the stuff that you all use to clean the computers. Come to find out, after about 5 years of being in a relationship, this man had an addiction so deep-rooted that even I, his closest confidant, closest person to him at the time in his life, even I didn't know that he was struggling with a huffing addiction. I don't know how he was able to keep that a secret for so long. And that I didn't even find this out until the dad told me. So anyways, he couldn't help him after that, refused to help him after that, and even suggested that Jason was making moves onto the dad's girlfriend at the time. So after he had found him passed out on the sofa, they should have called CPS and somebody should have got involved in terms of where Silas is going to stay at that point. And from that moment on, it should have been reported to the authorities. And he should have been the one that was institutionalized because he was suicidal when we split up. He tried many times to huff himself to death before we even got to court. So he knew that he had to get an attorney. He needed, first of all, he failed at trying to commit suicide. Nobody did anything. And so the dad freaks out. He's like, I don't know what to do, but I can't help him. Like, I just can't help him anymore. And so then he went to stay with his mother. And then while he was there, he was able to get the help that he needed. He was able to brainstorm with somebody who was able to get him the help that he needed. And because he was guilty, he was so guilty, he would rather have committed suicide than continue living life as a rapist, and tried to huff himself to death. And so anyways, they gave that suicidal serial rapist custody of my child, all because I was in a foster home. And, well, it's a class war, and as classism goes, if you're in a foster home, then you don't have any class, you see. So he never got the help that he needed psychologically, but he got the help that he needed, the resources that he was going to need financially, is what I mean. Then went to court with his mom's attorney after getting the help that he needed and confiding in somebody who he can trust, who can actually help him. And after getting the help that he needed from his mom, staying with the mom for years, probably literally like 2, maybe 3 or 4 years, but at least like 2. So my son and Jason stayed with Lori in Everett after he tried to commit suicide living with James. She was able to get him the help that he needed, not just by getting him the attorney, but also her herself confiding with her brother Rex, and then having the brother write a letter for Jason for court. All right, so once he was able to finally figure it out and get the help that he needed, and brainstorm with the mother, and brainstorm with the attorney, and brainstorm with the Uncle Rex, now he was able to turn it around and to show face in court, and every single thing that he was experiencing and going through, him being suicidal, him being a huff addict, him struggling as a drug addict, him being found by his father passed out on the sofa after failed suicide attempts. All of that he was going through, he projected onto me. Every single thing. It was that I'm a drug addict, that I'm mentally ill, that I'm suicidal, that I can't be trusted with the kids in the home, when that's exactly what he was experiencing and going through in his own personal life at the time. And only after that was he able to manage, you see. So first he stayed with the dad. The dad wasn't going to help him, couldn't help him, decided to kick him out, didn't trust him around his wife or his girlfriend, couldn't trust him to have our son there, because he was trying to commit suicide for so long, getting caught, and it just really scary stuff. So then he got sent off to his mom's. The mom was able to help him after confiding with the brother, the Uncle Rex Caldwell, the chief of police, retired now. They were able to get him the help that he needed. And then when he exhausted that resource and burned his mom ultimately, his mom sent him. Now this is 3 relatives already, plus an attorney and a judge that all helped him out because he's the chief of police's nephew. So this is the dad, the mom, and the uncle that he's already used up, stayed with, had life for him in court, and basically used them for every free thing that they had to offer him until there was nothing left. Room and board, food, everything, you name it. While he should have been going to the psych ward, he was getting the mental services he needed from his family, that type of psychological and emotional support and financial support, moral support. He got all of that. And you have to know that this is because the mother-in-law has a jealous spirit, and she was always secretly jealous of me. Always. And not just jealous, but vindictive too. Spiteful, ugly, nasty inside. And so, in any case, exhausted all 3 of those resources, used those people up, had those people lie for him in court, used them for their money and every other thing that they could possibly help him with at the time. Burned the mom, burned the uncle, because he's lying. So, if they have to lie for you, you're burning them. In any case, should have went to jail for rape, should have went to prison for rape, should have went to the psych ward for trying to overdose himself for those failed suicide attempts. And then after all of that, the mom sends him to Texas to go stay with the sister. He stays with the sister for another 3, maybe 4 years. He's almost 50 years old. He's a full-blown serial rapist with custody of my child. This is how the Illuminati get down. The state wants me to pay child support to my rapist. Can you fucking believe that? Can you motherfucking believe that? I haven't seen my child in 10 years. 8 to be exact. 8 consistent years, not one visitation. There are children in the CPS system whose parents are homeless, teethless, all strung out on meth and crack. They get more time with their parents than I have with my child because his father is a rapist. That is the truth. That is the reason. Anyways, after staying with the sister, burned the sister for a bunch of money because, of course, he stays with all of these relatives for free. Doesn't pay any rent. Like I said, they get everything for absolutely free. In any case, he's almost 50 years old. I think he's 44 and maybe 45 by now. Almost 50. Barely moved out less than a year ago on his own. This is how every single military brat and every single cop kid, this is what their future entails. They don't move out until they're like 50. By that time, their parents are already dead and they've taken over the family home or just whatever. They're so entitled, they don't see the flaw in their own ways. And the only thing it knows how to do is project, ultimately. It's like a projection screen. The military brat ends up with hips so wide she can't even fit in a seat or through the door. That's the one that's out here thinking that it's better than everybody else. I think it's really hysterical, actually. And then, so in any case, the entire community has to placate to their generations to come, and this is how they do it. So the entire community placates to this rape culture and all these rape cult shills. The entire community is needed to placate to these cop kids and these military brats, to give them these inflated egos and to placate to their delusions of grandeur because they're narcissists. Yeah, tripped the fuck out. Had a threesome with another dude and that dude's wife. And these are coworkers. So you can see why I would be paranoid, like, of his so-called, quote-unquote, friends. Because they're not just friends. Had a threesome, full-blown faggot, has 2 bisexual lovers, has a dude's name tattooed on his ass cheek, has a lot of secrets, many, not just the one of being a huff addict, not just the one of being a serial rapist, has a bunch of secrets, many, not just one, not just 2, not just 3, okay. But my point is this: if this is how it was so easy for them to do me this way, I can imagine how many other victims they probably have out here. How many other skeletons are in that closet? So yeah, I mean, I mooch, I freeload, and I should be getting victim of crime along with restitutions and child support. I shouldn't be begging, asking, or there should be none of this. This is a failed system, and it only works for those who work for it, relatives of it, family members of it. I'll never forget when my dad told me never date a police officer, because if they leave you or if you leave them for whatever reason, they will never let you live it down. They'll mob you up. They're worse than any thug or gangster combined. And as it turns out, he was absolutely right. It's not just them, it's their friends, their families, their associates, and every single agent of Satan that works covertly for this beast system. Every single person within these blue-collar crime cults, they don't pay for anything. They get every single thing free. Everything. Jason's mom works at Boeing, and she used to get him free movie tickets. And somehow he still had excuses for why he wouldn't take me on dates. How is that even an excuse? You get free movie tickets. And now, of course, they get these free tickets, and instead of taking the family, they go on their own. And they're doing this as a quote-unquote mental health day to relax. So it gets free movie tickets. It can go to the movie anytime it wants. And so this is the chief of police's sister. Like I said, everybody within these blue-collar cults, these blue-collar criminal cults, criminal syndicates, they don't pay for anything. Like with the police, their family, their relatives, and their associates. They get every single thing for free. It gets free movie tickets. It gets free tickets to the museums, every single one of them. It gets free tickets to go to the bowling alley or to play golf. It gets free tickets to go to dinner and dinner venues, potlucks, and barbecues. So it never starves. They've got bus tickets, gas vouchers, all types of stuff that they're constantly, gift cards, and other incentives, free porn on Pornhub, everything is free. So it pays for absolutely nothing. And while it talks about how I freeload or how I mooch, and it gets all mad, and the real reason why it's upset is because I get attention on my OnlyFans. Because it's possessive of my body, as you can clearly see in the evidence provided on the reel for this YouTube channel. In those messages, you can clearly see a serial rapist struggling with their own mental health because of a flawed, severely flawed system. And if you read the messages in the video reel provided for evidence for my YouTube channel that were sent to me by Jason, you will see how I contacted him to ask about my son and how it immediately turned into him getting possessive over my body. And if he sounds like a rapist in the text, that is because he is a rapist. And I'm so proud of myself for the work that I've done and for the evidence that I've provided. So anyways, if you enjoyed today's program, let me know by giving me a thumbs up, by sharing it, or subscribing to the channel. You can also tip or donate. Thanks so much to those of you who appreciate the truth. Thanks so much for those of you who have already donated, and for tips and donations, you guys can hit me up on Cash App. My cash tag is on the screen under the cash tag name Isla Alora. To the vendor who donated $25,000 in 2020. You give me hope for my future. Thank you so much. Your tips and donations are so greatly appreciated, and it is quite literally how I keep my lights on. So hopefully I can encourage the rest of my viewers, listeners, and Soul Tribe family to do more than just like, and hopefully you guys will feel compelled to donate this season. Can you believe that he's talking to the mother of his child like that? Dude, that's freaking insane. Crazy people in the psych wards don't even talk like that. It really makes you wonder. Maybe all the crazy people are on the outside, and maybe all the sane people are on the inside. And then again, maybe not. It's a serious mystery. All right, so another thing I wanted to mention is that the reason why it talks about my loose, sloppy pussy holes being gross and old or disgusting or whatever is because it wants you to get defensive. It wants me to get defensive. And I say you, I overgeneralize quite a bit in this program because I assume that people watching are victims of either rape culture or cancel culture. Excuse me for assuming. But so in any case, I overgeneralize quite a bit because this is my program and I can do that. So the reason why the covert male narcissist will always hit you with this, you're gross and disgusting, loose and old, is because it actually is a gimmick. It's a con artist's gimmick to get you to give him some free content. So then, in the event that you do come back with a nice fire photo, and in the event that you're like, "Nuh-uh, I'm not loose, look how good I look," and you do, you have to know that's why he's so angry. And possessive because he's an angry rapist, all right? That's the chief of police's nephew. That's just one of them. Can you imagine how many there are? So in any case, it's a gimmick. It's a con artist's gimmick. It's to try to get you to come back at him with that, I'm not gross. See, look, I look good. And in that case, he can hustle you for free content. And also to validate his own low self-worth or shitty low self-esteem by getting a very beautiful model like myself to send him videos or photos for free. So you will also see how he's pretty much laughing this whole time because it's a game to him. He's not being serious about any of this. He's just joking and still hoping that you'll send him those free photos or those free videos. You see. And then in the event that you don't do that, then he is coercing you into feeling so shitty about yourself, projecting his own insecurities onto me, in the hopes that I will feel so bad about myself that I'll delete my account, because he can see the flaw in his error, the error in his ways, the flaw in his ways, when he sees his best friends liking me on Facebook, following me on OnlyFans, and hitting me up in my DMs. He knows he made a mistake. That right there should speak for itself, volumes.